and welcome to this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Jason Juggling J. Ford, and we have with us tonight, Jay, for the first 30 minutes, Bermuda's two medalists at the recently concluded Commonwealth Games that took place in Birmingham, England, with Dame Flora Duffy and Janai Parent-Chief. There's always a lot of excitement around major festivals, and I know, speaking with Chef Donna Reyna prior to the event, she was excited in anticipation of what could possibly happen, and a lot of the stuff that she was anticipating came true. And with Flora, you able to defend that gold medal in the women's triathlon, and Janai, you actually winning the bronze medal in the men's triple jump. It just capped off a remarkable Commonwealth Games for such a small island. But Jay, let's learn a little bit about the atmosphere at the Commonwealth Games. So Flora, for you, what was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I mean, there's a lot of excitement going into the games, obviously with my potential to defend my title from 2018. And it was really exciting that Bermuda had such a big team. I think that's always really adds to the excitement and the experience of the games, even though we were kind of all separated because there was two villages and I was staying closer to the triathlon venue. At least you still knew there was lots of other Bermudian athletes competing, and you could, try and follow their events on the day. And that just really adds to the whole experience. So yeah, it was cool. Birmingham put on a great show, and in terms of the triathlon, it was fantastic. It was probably the most amazing crowd that I've raced in front of in a really, really long time. And coming out of COVID, that was really special and something you really picked up and noticed on the day.
Yeah. Janai, what was the Commonwealth atmosphere like for you?
It was good. You could tell they really like sports out there, especially coming from Worlds, and that was my third international games. I didn't expect the crowd to be that involved with even watching field events because we don't get as much love. But no, this whole setup was amazing, having everybody together. Flora said, we was kind of separated, and I got out there late because I just came from Worlds. But I don't know, it's probably my favorite meet I've been to so far. 100%.
Sure. Jay, you want to jump in?
Yeah, guys, welcome once again. What was the media around the games? Because obviously here in the island, we only get snippets here and there. But what was the media hype around the games, before the games, and then after you guys won your medals? What was the media like? Because we are a small country. Most people probably still don't know where we are. But what was the media like before and after for you guys?
Yep. I'll start. Going into the games, I mean, I was very aware that I had a lot of media coverage, and if there was any articles being written on, women to watch in the race, or who was the favorite, or who they thought would win, or what the breakdown of the race would be, I was definitely mentioned. I try not to read that or follow it too closely. I just kind of knew it was there in the periphery, and mostly just tried to limit the media exposure or ignore it going into a major event like that. I mean, I did do a few interviews for, the local media in Bermuda, but after it was crazy. There was loads of media presence, which was really cool. I mean, I crossed the line and I had to go in the whole, I don't know, snake aisle, it feels of various different media outlets that are there doing interviews. That range from, BBC, then there's some Australian news channels. Of course, there's Bermudian media. But yeah, that's just pretty straightforward sort of stuff. But it was a lot of people that I'd spoken to actually at the Olympics, and it was the first time speaking to them again. So it was kind of funny.
So, what about you, Janai?
I don't know about before. I know it wasn't much, or I probably didn't see much coverage over me other than back home and local stuff. I also don't really look into the media stuff that much. I'm not gonna lie, which might be bad or probably good. But I know after I competed, it was like filled with like people in the stands taking pictures and just even running around and going through like I think it's called the mix zone or something. Yeah, we had Burnous was out there, Sportsmax. I know I spoke to them, BBC, and a couple local like Birmingham reporters and stuff. So it was good. And then even just walking around like just taking pictures with people and signing autographs and stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flora, in the lead up to the Olympics, you were dealing with COVID. So for the Commonwealth Games, what was the preparation like for you?
Do you mean in terms of
Training,
okay,
and eating, and just the lead up to it.
Well, it was interesting because, yes, leading into the Olympics, there was a lot of COVID protocols, but the variant that was out at the time wasn't as, didn't spread as easily. Mm-hmm. Whereas the variant that's out now spreads super easily. So for me, I found like my biggest threat going into Commonwealth was not getting COVID again, just because I was so exposed, because I was traveling a lot, racing a lot. I already had it twice, and it really affected me. So that was my biggest worry. But besides that, in terms of training, it was pretty much as per normal, which was great. That was a big, relief that you didn't have to jump through any hoops to get to any facilities to train. And then even when we were out in Birmingham, besides the first initial test that you had to do, it was pretty much normal. I mean, of course, you wore masks and you tried to social distance, but it was a lot less stressful actually at the games versus at the Olympics, which was really nice. It felt like almost a normal times, because you had crowds, loads of spectators. Everyone wants to take, lots of people want to take selfies with you, whereas there was none of that at the Olympics.
Right. Yeah. Janai, preparing for the Commonwealth Games, how did your schedule go?
Real similar. We try to keep it pretty normal, kind of short, because we just had Worlds, and Worlds didn't go as good. So I literally been practicing next day to fix what the issue was. And like this whole year in general, like preparation's been on and off because of injuries and stuff, as you guys know. So, I just try to be as prepared as I could, given the time frame between leaving Worlds and then going to Commonwealth. It's like 3 days back in Arkansas. So we didn't really have much, but I trusted my coach enough that he'll have me ready as he usually does. So, I was ready. I was ready to go. Travel and stuff was kind of like, I would say long, which isn't ideal, especially traveling across the world and like time difference. But one thing I think we did good is getting like our athletes out there early enough for them to, compete.
Jay?
Flora, you brought up something just now, and it just ran through my head. And you mentioned you haven't had COVID twice. How did that play mentally? Because obviously lack of training, preparation, especially coming up, because obviously going into the year, you got all these plans of what you want to compete in. We talked about this over a few, episodes before, how you want to have deadlines and your goals you want to reach and your small goals. But then when you have these setbacks from COVID and not know when you're going to be at your full potential, how did you get over that mentally?
Yeah, this year has definitely been quite challenging in terms of I came into the year with plan A, then it pretty much quickly switched to plan B, then to plan C. I feel like I'm on plan D now, just because I'm constantly adjusting. Because, every time I've had COVID, I've unfortunately been one of the people that it hits me pretty hard. And, maybe after a few days, I can sort of function pretty normally as a human, but to function as like a professional athlete, you need your body at 100%. And it definitely took me a long time to get back to 100%. And so, the year was really choppy, constantly changing plans, adjusting training. And I remember speaking to my coach like 2 weeks before Commonwealth or 10 days before. And he's like, well, I don't know how we do it or how you did it, Flora, but somehow beyond everything, you managed to get yourself in pretty good shape. And I'm pretty confident that, you have the ability to defend your title in 10 days time. But it was definitely not the simplest. And yeah, constantly adjusting. And I think just really had to use my experience because I have been doing this for so long to just trust the process and take confidence that, you know, it'll all come together just in time.
Mm. Having someone like Donnarena as the chef for the team, how much of that put your coaches at ease to allow you to be the person you had to be to compete? Tonight,
Repeat that, please. I was trying to.
having someone like Donnarena as the chef, how much did she provide your coaches to allow you guys to compete as the athletes you are? You know, her being a former athlete, her being a former, you know, an administrator of sorts. So how did she assist you guys in preparation for your events?
Oh, she was good. She mainly like knew about a lot of the mental stuff. You know, we all do different events, even from her. So she kept it real simple for us. Just like Rory made it her, you know, go out compete. Um, was very supportive mentally for the athletes, and I think that played a good part. Just overall with track, like we had like a little team meeting before the track event started, or like before the first person competed, and just even had Dave speak, like just had all the athletes. She made it feel like a team, whereas sometimes we go with like one or two athletes and we don't really get that feeling. So she allowed everybody to feel comfortable almost. Yeah, and then even for coaching, she gave my coach BNA in general and BOA gives my coach a lot of support, especially through me, and she's been a big help through me personally. So, I thank her, and it was just good to have her as the chef there.
Sure. Laura?
Yeah, I can agree with, a lot of what Janai said, that gave me the ability to sort of, say what I needed, to what I would need to there to perform my best. And then she took care of it. And that's great when you don't have to worry about like little details, that everything is just sort of organized and you just get to turn up and perform and know that if there's any sort of disaster, it'll be taken care of, and you as the athlete don't need to stress about that. And I think from Donna's background, she gets it, right? That it's a high pressure, high stress situation, and she really put the athletes first, which was really great.
Yeah. Talking about stress, talking about pressure, when you get to the start line on that morning for the individual women's race, how do you channel those nerves, that thought pressure, that physical pressure, all of that? How do you channel that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think for each race is a little bit different on how nervous I'm feeling or how much pressure or expectation. Going into a games, like when you're the defending champion, you definitely feel it. But at the same time, I guess I just try to sort of remove the pressure from myself that, I'm here in great shape. I can execute a great race. And that it's swim, bike, run. And that's what I do all the time. And just to kind of forget about all the external noise that's going on. But yeah, it's certainly not easy. And I'm grateful that, Dan, my husband, gets to be there with me to support me that race day, because he kind of knows me the best and goes to all the events with me. So having him there, just if he can see I'm getting a little bit stressed, just to give me a few, words of encouragement or whatever it is, just to sort of de-stress the moment and, allow me to step on that pontoon with the most confidence.
Sure. And Janai, you already indicated that you didn't have the best performance at the World. So now you get to the Commonwealth Games. How do you manage that morning, those jitters, those nerves? Now you're looking around, the crowd's close to you. How do you manage?
Well, really, I tried something different, and this might be a little, I don't know, at Worlds, like, after figuring out what happened, like, I was a little nervous, but, like, I had a run-up issue, and what I like about me and my coach sitting at World Indoors, where we just, like, I fought a big one, and then, like, I was getting a rhythm of jumping, but it just wasn't enough time and everything. I don't know, I just try to stay focused and be, like, a perfectionist almost. So I try to pick apart what I could do better every time. Like, even after that meet, I'm like, okay, might have came third, but I could have fixed my first phase a lot better. Like I had a horrible first phase, but just basically try to execute. And I went out there and tried to interact with the crowd, and it made it a lot easier to stay calm, you know, because usually it's like you don't know these people. They're probably never going to see you again. They might remember you, but like you're not going to remember their faces. So I was just going out, interacting with them, keeping my mind away from just competing and what other people jumped and just focusing on me jumping as far as I could and executing as best as I can.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with our Commonwealth medalists named Flora Duffy and Janai Parentry. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons. You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, you know, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome back. Jay?
All right, guys. Question for each one of you guys, because when we talk about young athletes, and we hear about the process, we hear about staying the now, but both of you spoke a little bit about, especially you, Janai, about crowds and being amped up. But you know you have to stay composed because you've been practicing to be precise at certain things, especially Janai with you is all about inches, right? So any extra amp, even in your run up, it could pay dividends to what you actually do. Both of you, can you talk about how you Flora, when you was in Bermuda and you saw the crowds, everybody's going, obviously you want to probably go even faster than they actually going, but you got to stay composed when they race. How do you guys manage that?
Mainly just trusting your training. I think the biggest thing is like if you have a coach and a system that you trust and you know it works, and just believing in yourself, like just try to stay within that. Like somebody goes in the hardest thing, and I would say triple jump, or even any competition, like somebody might do something amazing, and most people it could be like mind blowing. So you have to kind of just block that out. And the biggest thing is being able to get amped up, but not being too amped, because like you said, if I push too hard, I might be over my mid and I might fall. Or if I don't push enough, I might be too behind and I might reach for the board and throw me out of position. So like the main thing is just blocking everything out and just remembering, like treating it like a practice almost, but a glorified practice, and allowing yourself to just execute as best you can.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that because this kind of goes back to the previous question, but I think like when the little snippets I've seen of Janai competing, he's he's clapping his hands, getting the crowd involved. Maybe does like a little dance or something if he's like done a good jump or whatever. And I was like, I couldn't be like the more opposite, like I'll wave to the crowd, but then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna forget about them and get back into my zone and like focus on what I've got to do. So it's like so cool how each athlete can be so different on how they approach or how they are during like a major competition. Obviously our events are very different, but I just thought that was kind of a fun difference. But I think, in terms of like a big crowd, it's cool. It adds atmosphere. It adds like excitement to race. So I think for me, it's like noticing that, taking it all in, and then trying to block it out and focus on what I need to do. And you get a lot of practice of doing that after you've, raced a lot.
Yeah. Flora, what was those moments like coming down the carpet, knowing you have accomplished the goal you set out at the beginning of the Commonwealth Games to defend that title, that run down that to that chute to the finish line? What goes through your mind during that period? Can you remember?
Well, there's definitely a lot of relief because you're going to win. In my case, defending my title, and there was a lot of pressure and expectation, so you feel a lot of relief, and then just joy and excitement that you've achieved your major goal. And in my case, I executed a really good race, and I was like really proud of. So that was nice, and I think for me, I made a conscious effort to really focus on that moment and take in the crowd. I grabbed a Bermuda flag and got to run, the final stretch holding that. I actually grabbed the flag from my dad. Because I don't know how many other opportunities I'm going to get like that. So really just, to take it all in, soak it up and enjoy it. And it was really cool. Yeah, that's a nice photo. It was really cool that there was so many Bermuda flags out there and people cheering. So it was like, a super special moment.
Sure. And Janai, for you get your best jump in that first attempt. Then you spend the rest of the time, I know you're still jumping, but you're still looking at scoreboards, and every time someone jumps, you wanna see if your next attempt, you have to go even further. So what was those moments like, the final moments of watching everyone else jump with you in that third place position?
Yeah, I know in like the third or fourth round, the other two competitors, some start clicking for them. Where it's like me, I kind of had a situation with wind. I'm like very same issue as NACAC. So it's difficult because on dirt attempts the wind might be a lot less, so they're able to get more consistent jumps and really go. Where if I'm getting blown back, I can't really. I kind of have to adjust and just adapt and still try my best. So, I would say pressure rises and anxiety rises, but it's just staying within yourself and trusting yourself you could jump further. It was a couple of attempts that I had where it's it wasn't the best, but I was trying, still trying to compete. And I think knowing that I was going to try to get first and it was already ahead of me, it was it was a little difficult, but in the sixth round, I knew I already had a medal. So my last attempt, I was shooting to get first, but I was, like Flora said, you feel relieved after all, you got a medal. That's why I just ran out the pit and got to dancing and just enjoyed it because, it's have fun while you can.
Enjoy the moment. Jay?
So, Flora, this is not even a question. This is something that happened to me yesterday, actually. So I have a little 5-year-old daughter, and we was driving along Cavendish. And, over the last few months, we watched the name change of Philadelphia Hill. So, I'm just driving. I turn on the indicator. Daddy, we're about to go down the Philadelphia Hill. And I'm like, okay, now you really understand where we're going now. And it's amazing. And I say that because it will probably be a whole generation before the older adults actually even put that in their mouth. But you see how quickly kids learn it so fast. Mm-hmm. So to know that you're affecting just the young ones at this age, at 5 years old, she knows exactly where it is. She knows where we're going. And then, so one I tell her the story about how so why is named after her, and then you gotta explain the story and this is the hill that she overtook everybody. She's that fast, and no, she's all excited for you in November. So she's like, when she's coming, she's gonna race again. I say yes, man, Daddy, and I pull it up in November. Okay, Daddy, can we go see it? I'm like, look, little girl, we're just going down here. We're trying to go home, okay? But these are things that I love, that these stories, because what you've done for this generation and for the generation to come, even though the older folk might say, you know, still call it corkscrew heel, like we probably did all our life. We can see now that next generation, that will be your heel. So I want to say thank you for that, Janai. I'm proud of you, man, because I've heard many stories of you probably 5-6 years ago from Rohan Simons telling me, watch out for this guy. Watch out. I don't know what it's gonna do, but just watch out for him. And I remember Earl, I think one of those first weeks we streamed up at National Sports Center.
Mm-hmm.
And he came and sat with us, and he was talking so highly. So to see what you're doing now, first things first, can you talk a little bit what has Ron been to you?
Really, Samos did a lot for me. I call him Samo. Like a father figure sometimes, you know, coach, friend. He's did a lot, especially I think teaching me high jump and sitting up there and having practices with him and going on trips with him, it helped make me into the competitor that I am, because so we all know he likes to compete. Like, he's a competitive guy. So every time in practice we're always competing, and just like being able to take that from him and translate that over to college, where it's like you have to go in competing, and then on the senior level, one thing I could say, he's always kept me very calm and relaxed, and no matter what the situation was, and also kept me confident and taught me how to be confident in my event and my abilities. So, you know, I think that's the reason why I go through so much injuries and bounce back and stuff, because mentally he helped me become a strong competitor. So I appreciate him for that.
Flora, do you have your medal with you?
I do, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Where? Here we go.
How special is this one? I know the 2018 one would have really been special, but the fact that you have this one now, how special is this one?
I mean, yeah, it's very special. I mean, I never would have thought I would have been a 2-time Commonwealth champion. So yeah, that has been really cool. I keep it on the same shelf where my Olympic medal is and my other Commonwealth medal. So that's been kind of cool to like add to that collection, you know. And yeah, it was nice that my family were there and they missed out watching me in Tokyo. So this felt like a nice moment to celebrate all these like years of hard work.
Sure.
So it was cool.
Yeah.
But I will say, one of the other, kind of jumping ahead here, was highlights of the game was obviously watching Janai, and I knew he had a shot of winning a medal, and to see him win a medal and see another Bermudian on the podium and 2 medals from a Commonwealth Games is like really incredible. And I mean, I certainly enjoyed being sort of on the other side, you know, as a spectator watching a Bermudian win a medal, and I can now, I guess, understand like the emotion that how it brings. And that was just really cool. And hopefully we're there together in Paris.
Sure.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, but that's 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Not quite yet.
I mean, the goosebumps come when you hear that. Hopefully we'll be together in Paris, and you know, and just knowing we're 2 years away from that possibly something of the same nature, and maybe Janai going even better, can happen because you have 2 years to prepare, both mentally and physically. I know it's a tall order, because you guys always talk about the challenges that you put your bodies through to prepare for, you know, a season, let alone a major festival. I know what the challenge is like. So, you know, we wanna make sure that you have everything that is needed to support. You know, if it just means sometimes just a phone call or a message just to encourage, that's what I think, you know, we can actually help in that regard, of making sure you're encouraged, that, you know, you feel like sometimes you're carrying the country on your back, but what you're doing is actually lifting the entire country, you know, and making sure that people know where this little small tiny island is, especially when it comes to the major festival. So for that, we say thank you very, very much to both of you, and congratulations to both of you. in winning your medals at the Commonwealth Games. And for the remainder of your season, I know, Janai, your season is done. Flora, you still have quite a bit to do, and we look forward to the end of the year, you on our shores again, and us Bermudians coming out to support and making sure that you like I said, everything that you need in order to, as Brandon Smith is saying, Bermuda pride.
Yeah.
So with that, we say thank you very much to both of you. We will be speaking to you again shortly, I guess, as you prepare for the remainder of your season, Flora, and Janai, as your season will begin again sometime in the very near future. So both of you, thank you very much. Folks, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by members of the Bermuda Archery Association. We'll be right back. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, Flora.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, Jay, we're joined by Ross Roberts and Catherine Pickering, members of the Bermuda Archery, Gold Coast Archery Association. Ross, we've been in contact with you for a number of years now, probably 10 years or so. The growth of the sport in Bermuda for you guys. We know there's been archery on the island for quite some time, but the growth since you guys have been operating down at Southside, give us a sense of where you come from to where you are now as you prepare for another international tournament.
Okay, thanks, Errol. Good evening, all. Yeah, it's been 10 years. It's been a long road, but it's been fruitful. We've spent a lot of time training, not just our athletes but our coaches, and since 2012, we've now got 4 certified coaches, and we're working actively with about 16 archers to get them competing at that international level. We've got a pretty strong recurve male team right now, but we're working on the female and also the male and female compound teams as well. So we've come a long way. It's been a lot of time training, coaches with USA Archery. Now we're actually doing some stuff with World Archery as well. So we've accomplished a lot in that 10 years. I mean, it's going by fairly fast, but we've accomplished a lot in that 10 years, and the knowledge that we have now of archery, and not just coaching it, but being in international events, that's great for experience for these guys. And we had a busy year. We still got 3 or 4 more events before the end of the year, and then we kick off the new year with the Vegas shoot, and then training in California, and getting us ready for these games that we're hoping to be at the CAC and Pan Am Games.
Sure. Cameron, over the years, we've seen how you've developed into one of the top players on the island. But take us through the challenges you faced from starting to where you are now.
I wouldn't say it's been super challenging for me. Obviously, you develop as you go. I've developed through the years. Obviously, starting out just doing archery as a hobby, low-level equipment. And, as I've just progressed with form and, competing in tournaments like the Lancaster Classic, eventually I've just invested in better equipment. And there's been a lot more involvement with international coaches. We've had a few come to Bermuda. And with that, that's helped with my overall development as well. And yeah, now taking part, coming from Colombia, one of the stage shoots, I did pretty good there. And, that just gave me a better idea of exactly where I need to improve, and what's going to take me to the next level for future events.
Sure. Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, you just took one of my questions for Cameron. But you know what? Let's go to Ross, and I'm going to switch it up a bit. So administration-wise, what's some of the challenges that you guys had to overcome, and what's some of the things that are probably still were lacking that you guys need to probably improve on to improve the association?
Right now, we've got a full committee. We're working with other international governing bodies to help us out. Our international federation overseas, they've been a great support for us in the last couple of years, getting us to these international events. As Cameron mentioned, we had our first World Archery event just a couple of months ago, and we've got quite a few others that we're working on. So we've got a lot of stuff in progress. It's taken funding, obviously, that we we've been doing some fundraising to get us to these big events. So we've got a lot of stuff in progress, work in progress. So we're continuously pushing on it.
Talk a bit, Ross. Talk a little bit about someone like Cameron when he would have first shown up. As he said, it was a hobby, but then you could see the raw talent and what you how you encouraged him to kind of become a little more aggressive in it and take it a little more serious.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. The juniors that we have now, we've taken a couple of them away to international events, and most of the time, once they get exposure to this first couple of events, that's what progresses them really quick. We've had the young lady that actually medaled at the Lancaster Classic this year, and since then they have been a big part of our program. They're active every week. They're out training. They got their goals set on the next international event that they want to go to. Cameron started off with that as well. We exposed him to that international event, which most of our young athletes and new athletes, usually the Lancaster Classic is their first. And it is a big event. I mean, in 2020, we had, I think it was 2,200 archers in it. It's the reason we like to do it is because it exposes them to not just that big event, but it also exposes them to the Olympic archers that are there. The U.S. Olympic team's usually there. Canadian Olympic team, the Brits are usually there. So and now we're starting to get a lot of the European countries that's starting to come over and take part in it as well. So it's become, it was sort of America's before, but now it's become more international, where we're getting, people from all around the world that's coming to that tournament. And the follow up for that tournament basically is Vegas. So that Lancaster Classic is a start of the indoor season, and Vegas is the first big shoot for the indoor season. So it's a week before. So we usually get everybody go up, train, do their Lancaster Classic shoot, and then this year we're actually looking at. We would like to do the Classic as well, but I think financially, we're probably going to skip the Classic this year and focus our efforts on going to Vegas to the World Archery Shoot in Vegas. And then from there, after that tournament finishes, we're actually heading over to Chula Vista, California, to the training center, and we'll be there for a week. For these guys, we'll have their first archery camp overseas, so they'll be doing archery basically for a whole week. They're going to be eat, sleep, and drink archery for a whole week in California. So that's going to be a big stepping stone for us there.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump to Cameron and ask him about the equipment, because you do a lot of the recurve. Have you ever tried the compound, and why do you prefer the recurve?
Well, I have shot compound in the past. My dad actually shoots compound bow.
Right.
But I would say, I mean, both styles of bows require a certain amount of skill. One's not more difficult than the other. They're both quite difficult in a sense as far as form and shooting them with technique, period. But I find that recurve is just a lot more traditional. The compounds, they're a lot more technical. So I figured with compound as well, recurve as well. At the moment, it's Olympic style bow, whereas with the compound, it's not actually allowed in Olympic. However, they may be soon bringing them to shoot in the Olympic Games. But for me, obviously recurve was going to be. I started out shooting recurve. I was never really introduced to compound when I first started out, so it only made sense to stick with what I knew. You know what I mean? And that's working out for me so far.
Okay. All right. Jay?
Yeah, Cameron just spoke about how being probably introduced by his father. So back to you, Ross, again. I mean, it might be a pipe dream, but what would take to probably put on an international event? You're talking about guys going away to these international events. What it would take to put something like that here to expose not their kids who probably never seen archery and this competition. You mentioned about 2,200 archers. I know we can't facilitate that in the competition. But what is there something that you guys are looking on the horizon in many years to come, or is that even?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we actually in 2020, actually we started it in 2019. We had made contact with Rob Coffell, who is actually the founder of the Lancaster Archery Classic. He is also the owner of Lancaster Archery Supplies, and we had sat down and talked, and we actually had been to the National Stadium about it and everything. We were trying to put something on in 2020. COVID kicked in, so that all fell by the wayside, but we have stayed in contact with him. The good thing is now we've actually got World Archery involved. Well, World Archery America's involved as well, who's our international federation basically for archery. So Bermuda kind of sells itself, and when people hear about Bermuda and having an international event there, the archers light up, and it's like, yeah, great, that'd be nice. So all we need to do really is get the Rob Coffells and World Archery together, and hopefully once this COVID situation is to a point where we can actually start organizing these events again, it's definitely something we're looking to try and do within the next year or so.
Good.
And like I say, we were looking at doing it at the National Stadium.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And
But we're gonna take, yeah. So yeah, finish.
sorry.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I was
Sorry.
going to say we could probably, easily accommodate a couple of hundred archers there. So,
Okay.
something that we could, and with Rob, and basically he was going to do all the advertising for us. He has to do the advertising for the Classic. He was going to use all the same athletes and go to all of them and say, look, we're going to be doing an event in Bermuda. We were looking at March, which basically how he was going to advertise this is that this shoot in Bermuda was going to be the start up or the warm up for the start of the actual outdoor season. So we would bring, get the archers, from Canada and the places where it's really cool, where they really haven't been able to shoot that much. And instead of going right into the big event, which is in Arizona, which would be Arizona Cup. So basically a couple of weeks before Arizona Cup, we would have a warm-up shoot here in Bermuda for all those archers. And even the ones from Canada, all the places where it's cool, they were on board right away because they were saying, great, we can finally get some training in before, the big event. And one of the things we talked about was if they want to come down early and just train here for a while, that was also something we were going to try to open up to them as well.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take another commercial break. Let me come back. We'll have more with Ross Roberts and Cameron Pickering. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome back. Ross, you mentioned a few months ago that you had a team compete internationally, Cameron, Bernard, and Jaden. Cameron, for you, what was that particular the World Archery event like for you, and how much does it get your juices flowing for the one coming up in a matter of a few weeks?
For me, it was a dream come true, to be honest with you. From young starting archery years ago, I'd be watching YouTube videos of some of these top athletes shooting in these stage shoots. So for me, my goal was to eventually get to one of these tournaments. And, with time and progress, development in my shooting, now I'm at that stage now. So really pleased with that. And as far as the tournament, it was great, to be surrounded around, like-minded athletes that are all in it, to win a gold medal. It really get your adrenaline going. And so yeah, it's a great experience. The weather was pretty good. The winds were moderate. It was a lot better than what we're used to anyway, because it's pretty much windy down here every weekend, as you would experience when you come down there. So yeah, as far as the wind conditions, it was really good. And yeah, with that being said, I'm really looking forward to the next tournament.
Yeah. Ross, getting these guys to remain as calm as possible, because now when you get into, okay, so you go to the Pennsylvania one, that's big, but now these guys are in an international event and looking to progress to a major festival, if successful. A lot more pressure on them. So what are you as and your coaching staff doing to make sure that they remain calm and they give their all once they get on that line?
Yeah, it's a lot of mental training that's starting to go into it now. That helps with that. I mean, we got a little emotional when we got there, and seeing the Bermuda flag sitting at the back of the range. That was a big accomplishment. So to get to that stage and see that, that gives you, that hypes you up a bit right there. So breathing techniques, basic meditation and stuff like that, just to kind of try to slow the pulse rate down, control the breathing and stuff like that. Usually we try to get them to sit off just before the tournaments, just grab a chair, and you just start to get into your zone. So we take our time and sit there and basically watch ourselves in our head doing what we have to do on that line. So as Cameron just mentioned, mental errors is something that we do. So we don't just shoot a lot of arrows on the range, but we sit down on that range and we shoot a lot of arrows in our head as well. And that helps you to get into that zone where you need to be for these big competitions. When I mentioned the Lancaster Classic, it's a big tournament, but it's a mixture of shooters there. You have some Olympics shooters there, but you also have people there that's come to shoot for the first time. But when you get to these big shoots, they're all there, 30 top shooters from around the world. And, that's a big step for these guys to get involved with a shoot that pretty much just exists from, the top 2% of all the shooters around the world from different countries.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Yeah. Jay, I had an opportunity to see archery at the Junior Pan Am Games.
Yes.
In Colombia last year, and the atmosphere there is I have to say it's like it's in its own, because you go from there's a lot of talking to then there's absolute silence.
Yeah.
And you hear a whistle blow, you see these people go up to a line, and all you hear is tip, 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 and that's the arrows hitting the range down the other end. But to see the level of concentration, and then knowing that to your left and to your right, you have number 1 in the world, number 10 in the world. Now, that has to be something that, despite what you're doing, it has to kind of distract you just a little bit. So I'm going to ask Cameron, what's some of the techniques you would use or you have used to kind of block that out, which is something very difficult. As much as we say, we could do it, it sometimes takes over, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I would say that would take over more in a sense if you're shooting with an individual in a head-to-head round where you're right up against them. But as far as the qualifying round, everyone's just out there to shoot a good score. So in that sense, I didn't quite make it into the head-to-head round, so I wasn't competing against the athletes in that sense. But as far as qualifying, I was shooting against some of the top level archers, but for me, I don't make a stressful situation out of it like that, because all I'm basically doing is out there just focusing on one shot at a time, just subconsciously getting shots off, not focused on anything around me, because I know at the end of the day, if I do what I need to do with my form and stay in my zone, I'll get good shots. So, with that helps to develop my confidence. So by the end of the scoring round, I should end up with a decent score,
Jay?
All right, guys. So this easy question for you guys, each one of you. Why archery for both of you? Why archery? Why you got into archery? And then tell me, why should I let my daughter come to you guys? Sell me on archery, please. Sell me, both of you. Sell me.
So I'll give you a quick spiel on myself and how I started with archery. I actually started with target shooting. So I started off with target shooting. I competed with target shooting probably for close to 20 years. It got to a point where I was spending more time trying to do administrative stuff with that. So I couldn't bring any juniors into it. I couldn't train juniors. I was getting to that coaching stage. With archery, I can start kids off. We've had kids start as young as 5 years old. So we can bring those juniors into it. And what I was finding with the target shooting, it was by the time we get to competitions, we're seniors. We're seniors in those competitions, and you're shooting against 15-year-olds that are beating you. And, but they've been shooting longer than you. So, we have to start these kids off young in order to condition them for these events. But it was so much easier when I switched over to archery. I mean, when we travel, there's no issues traveling. We travel just like we're going on vacation or whatever. We don't need any special permits or anything like that.
Right.
And like I say, we've just started developing these kids from as young as 5 years old. We've got quite a few females involved right now, young females. We're really, really looking forward to when we finally get that young female team together. So, we've got these kids out here 2-3 times a week for the beginners, and some of the more advanced ones that we talked about earlier. Right now, we've got the young lady Sally out here. She's shooting probably 5-6 times a week right now. So she wants it. And you can see it in the athletes, the ones that really wanted it. And basically, we're here to try and support that and help her to get, reach those goals that she has. So, for any young male or female, it's something, if you've got the time and you want it, I think we have the knowledge to and support from overseas with international coaches and training facilities and everything else to get anybody to that international level now. So,
Cameron?
So for me, I've pretty much, growing up, I've tried every sport across the board. I mean, I could name them. I've done sailing, football, cricket, even equestrian, believe it or not. So I was never able to really find something that I could stick with until I found archery. I truly believe that archery found me, because from young, I'd be going around my house with a bamboo stick and string, making bows out of them. So yeah, I think with that, when I met Ross years ago, trying it out, just like I say, as a hobby, it's just been going up from there. And archery is a sport for life. It's got no age limit. Sports, you get to a level where you may grow out of the sport, or you're getting too old. So with archery, you've got senior divisions. So yeah, you can pretty much do it right up until you're a senior, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Anything you want to add before we go, Ross?
One thing I'd like to, as we mentioned earlier about our development in this and how we've got a good background together with it, we've got a great foundation for archery going forward. One thing I'd like to do is thank some of the sponsors we've had. BAC has come on board to support us. One Communications has come on board. Z-Bar, Bermuda Limited, Trip Limited. So some of these places are supporting us already. It's definitely made a difference for us to take part in, some of the shoots that we would have normally said, well, we're going to have to skip that one and maybe next year. But it's allowing us to do, some of the big shoots that we've, wanted to do for a few years. But now, this has made it easier to actually get these guys to help, fund those trips to do these. We've got CAC coming up, we've got Pan Am coming up. But we're gonna pay for these things out of our pockets to qualify and get there. So it's helped us out a lot. We've got a lot more work to do, but we're on the right track. That's for sure.
Good. All right. Well, we want to wish you guys all the best in the upcoming second round of the qualifications in a matter of a few weeks. It's one of those things where you grab it with both hands. Cameron, you and your teammates. It's an opportunity, and these things don't come around every day. So
That's right.
we want to wish you all the best. Put all the training that you put in, all that hard work, the mental training, all of that. Put that all into practice when you arrive. Stay focused, get the job done, and then you can come back and then work on what needs to be worked on when you qualify for either CAC or Pan Am, whichever one, or both. That's an opportunity to represent Bermuda in a sport that you really, really love. Okay?
Yeah, well, one thing, also, we mentioned our sponsors, but there's also been a big support that's also coming in from the BOA and Department of Youth, Sport, and Recreation. So finally, I think we've made the contacts we need to make to get everybody, on board and supporting us. So, thanks to those guys as well. And, we look forward to, doing some great things.
All right. Well, all the best.
Thank you.
We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the Island Stats Sports Show. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. All right.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Jay, this weekend we'll see the final round of the counties take place. The Eastern, we've seen the completion of the Western County. We've seen the completion of Central County, and now it's the completion of the Eastern County that features Bailey's Bay the Challengers taking on the cup holders, St. David's. St. David's have done enough over the first 2 matches to take care of Flats and then Cleveland. What's your thoughts on Saturday's match?
Flip a coin again. I mean, before we get into the match itself, I just want to say Earl, as the last few years has been rough, as you know, all our local sports, when we talk about crowds and stuff like that through COVID, and to see what we've seen the crowds come back to these games and the passion, how passionate they are, is something that we really truly missed. And, you know, the players missed it. I mean, even last couple of years, or even last year, you know, it wasn't really too much celebration when somebody scores a 50 or something, you know, just through the protocols and this, that, and the other one. So to see a lot of those things come back, and to see even if the last round, the youngster Dean Simons, his first ever, you know, and to see the emotion. Now you're seeing, you know, a lot of guys getting the cameras right up in front of their face, so you get to see these emotions on social media the day after, stuff like that. You really get to see what it means to these guys. So that, in its sense, it brings, you know, I was coming from the West End. I didn't have a head in Eastern County, and to be down there for the last few years, you know, you really get to see what it means to those communities. So for the game to come back, the crowds to come back, and you know, off the scaffold, and you see more people, right? It's in good stead. The actual game itself, this last round, I said flip a coin because last year, if you remember correctly, the hype was going into this last game because it was the exact same matchup in all the rounds last year, right? It was Flats, Cleveland, and Bay. And Bay was the hosting, and you know, it was so much going into that match, and that was the worst matchup of the whole series, right?
The blue pot.
Where Bay barely got 100 runs, right? So the game could have been over at 3:00, right? So, but that's funny, right? Because you know, you expect the ebbs and flows, right? You expect these teams, and we're seeing it even these 2 rounds. We're seeing, you know, St. David's be in trouble and get on top, and be in trouble and get on top. So it's almost like a knockout fight, and it'd be interesting, you know, because you've seen each team still. What I love about County is they're still introducing young people, right? Young players, you know, and it'll be interesting to see what teams take guest players or how many guest players, right? Because, you know, it means so much, right, to win the County, right? This is the last round. So I say flip a coin because each team has match winners, right? Each team has match winners. But as you know, through the season, both teams have struggled through the season.
Yeah.
I mean, St. David's have gone down. St. David's are playing in the lower division of the 2020, and you know, even though they won the 50 over, but they're playing in the lower division of 2020, right? So, you know, they've had some ups and downs, right? And even Bay's had, you know, a mixed season, a mixed bag there. So, it'd be interesting. I've said it many times on our broadcast, or even Sean has said it many times in the broadcast. It doesn't matter what you do in the league, no matter what you do all year, as long as you show up for County, all is forgotten. And for some of these guys, Earl, as you know, this is their cup match. Some of these players probably will never play cup match in their life.
Yeah.
But it gives them a chance to shine in County, and that's something that I think these, you know, it's 2 years younger than cup match. So, you know, 118th year is something that we need to just cherish and really, really appreciate, because I've always heard, oh, we should change this and we should change that. I'm like, it's 118 years and it's still here.
Yeah, so true.
And you know, we go down early and we, you know, the line seems like it's getting longer and longer at 8:00 now. But when you hear people standing in line 5:00 in the morning for when they're issuing out, allocating the spots, you know, it tells you something right there in itself, right? Because me personally, I don't know if I'm that guy. I like standing in the grocery shop line too.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, at the latest on Saturday evening at 7:20, we will know who the 2022 Eastern County Cup champions are. That's the latest.
Oh, that's the latest. That's the latest.
That's the latest. We will know who the champions are. Could be earlier, but at the latest, that's when we will know. So I want to say good luck to both St. David's and Bailey's Bay. Put on a show that would be talked about for years to come. Players play with the passion and pride of your clubs and your parishes and your communities, because that's what Eastern County has been about for the 118 years. It's all been about those communities. And, you know, we look forward to the yellow and blue and the red and white all through Lords.
Be careful, because these colors cannot clash. They come.
Oh boy!
I do want to mention one thing, because I was, we're on the Eye of Stats. We love stats. We love the numbers. And the last round, it was an opportunity for two players to actually get into 1,000 club, and runs, which have been Deion Stubble and OJ Pitcher, and both of them came up short. But OJ has another chance to get to it right in this round, so he's I believe 38 runs behind to get into 1,000 runs. And this is something that is, this is in the history of 118th year. This is monumental, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know he wants to do. We talked about it last week, and obviously now with his young children, they get to see it, and just all what has been through the last 3-4 years, right? It's something that you get to cherish these moments, because you just never know when, next year you could be injured or you're seeing something like that. You have an accident or just before the game, then you can't. And one thing with Connie, if you lose, you're out. It ain't.
Yeah. Ain't until next year.
So Saturday, like you said, at the latest 7:20.
But it could be earlier.
Could be earlier. We were seeing it earlier, so it's and I'm looking at the forecast. Forecast looks pretty good, so I can't wait.
All right. Well, let's see everybody on Saturday. Let's have a good time at Lords and St. David's for the final round of the Eastern County Cup competition. Have a good night, boss.
Take care, buddy.
All righty.